Hello people, this is Ryder here to review the Ultraman Blazar DX Blazar Stone Set 02. It's not set. So the subtitle for this one is the Zero versus Belial Set, which makes sense. Obviously I'm filming all of these at the same time, just for the sake of them being sealed. I don't know if I'm actually going to title them with the names. I don't know. Anyways, this set comprises of, as you can tell from the title, Zero, Belial, Victory, and Trigger multi-type. And then here we have Blazar at the corner like so. And really like the red background. And just kind of like the same thing like the last set, just tells us a brief summarization of each stone and the QR code for the PDF file. So here we have the stones out of their traditional packaging, to which taking a look at the main stone of the set, here is Zero, to which again it's probably my favorite type of stone just because I really like how the blue cover comes out. Then here's Zero, obviously right here. We get a proper one after a while, after just having to deal with the new generation stone, and he is B084. And then obviously in the name of the set here is Belial. And then he has a purple cover and such. It is nice here, this time they do acknowledge Belial as an Ultra. I think they also did with the Dimension card too, but again, the Dimension card for the D-Flasher had two Belials. One for Ultra, like one for the Ultra Dimension and the Mons Dimension. And this is B152. And then again, here we have Victory to continue our new generation collection, which he is yellow, which is pretty neat. And makes sense because Ginga was in the last set, as he is B099. And again, last but not least, we have Trigger multi-type. Excuse me. To go along with the last set too of having Decker and Tiga. So I think he's basically the same as Trigger or Tiga with purple and such. And he is B137. So let's use these in the Blazar brace. So with Zero, if you recall from the new generation stone, it's going to be something similar to that. We actually do have that phrase though, but the same standby. And there we have the animation for Zero and such, which is pretty neat. Again, they're back to using the shorter version of Zero's transformation, so you don't have the sluggers going onto his head. They're very inconsistent. Now Zero has 4 sounds, to which obviously the first 2 are just the attacks. I think that one's the wide Zero shot. And obviously we'll get that phrase because it was in the standby. But we do get a second phrase, which was previously from the new generation stone, and that's basically it. And then Belial is going to be interesting. As we just get the normal Blazar brace standby. So there we basically get the formation of Belial. However, the animation is really interesting because it's actually not tied to Belial. Belial is actually a part of like a section of Dark Ultras that get like that unique animation, which is pretty interesting. Because other than that, he does still have two sounds. So we do get the Decium Coulson. And then Victory. So we get the V Lancer, the Victory Lancer standby somewhat, and then shouting out Victory. And then here we have the animation for Victory. I really like this one just because I think, in my opinion, this one comes out better on camera than like the majority of them, like especially the V portion. I feel like it comes out a lot better than Zet's. And then obviously we have our three sounds. Obviously, that got carried over from the Hyper Key. His grunt is the shortest one, surprisingly. And obviously, this is here for a stone we'll cover later, even though the Hyper Key retroactively, obviously, the Hyper Key in a way is more accurate because obviously he doesn't call out Victory when he transforms as Victory. But obviously, because, like was before, obviously because what's upcoming, they decided to add that back in, which I don't mind personally. It gives him an additional sound and makes him on par with all the other new generation Ultras. So last but not least, Trigger. So obviously we only get that last portion and the standby for the Spark ones. And there we have the animation for Trigger, to which it's alright. I feel like it should be a lot more colorful, but they only emphasize on like the color timer and such. We still have three sounds. Obviously, there's the Zeparion Coulson. And obviously, we won't, like what I said, we won't get that last part because of the fact of, I didn't bring it up initially with Decker, but Trigger and Decker, obviously, they got their phrases truncated for the sake of, so then it's a lot more easier to reuse the audio, even if in some cases it's not even accurate. But overall, I think this set, if we were to compare it to the first set, like I personally think, like I still like the quality wise, it's still the same, obviously. But I think for like the additional sound wise, this one's definitely superior as opposed to the first set, just because obviously Ultraman and Tiga they're not technically new generation, so or they don't have the specifications of the new generation, so they only have like the two sounds they have, but they at least have their own unique animations, which kind of like makes up for that. While for here it's just like Zero's technically put into the spot, like he's technically now getting categorized under new generation, even though I still heavily disagree with it, just because, like, I feel like Zero is kind of like the last true, like, Zero was the last, like, main Ultra for, like, obviously, like, the, like, 2009 to, like, 2012. Like, I considered him, like, because I don't know why they want to consider Mebius to be the last one, because I think Zero is, like, the last traditional Ultra they've done before they started the new generation thing. But I mean, at least they're still acknowledging Ginga being the first. But you know, I guess it's Zero, so of course they're gonna make him spiffy, spiffify him, and like you know, like Victory and Trigger, like they make sense of. Like I said before, I think they make sense of being the ones to be released after, just because they've already did Ginga and Decker in the last set. And I think color choice. I think I'll probably say I like the colors of this one a bit more, but obviously it's just because it's two different shades of purple. I think this is supposed to be more pink. Now when I look at it, it's a lot more lighter than the purple and such. And like obviously, like I said, I like this shade of blue. Because looking at the first set, like I think the first set, I think the choices there are a lot more variety. There's a lot more variety, as opposed to this one is just okay. Obviously, you're gonna put out Zero, you're gonna have to put out Belial, and then like these two are just more like, well, we already put out the other two that they're meant to be paired to. Or technically, triggers two of them, but you know, it's not bad or anything. The only thing to really point out what this set is at, this set got released like 3 weeks earlier than it was originally, than its original like individual set, because they released this set first in the Narikiri set alongside set 1 to like get the most, you know. I think this is where I can finally talk about this. I think the Narikiri set for this year is probably your best way of getting the DX version of the Blazar brace. You actually do care about getting the most out of it instead of just getting whatever, like getting the in-show stuff. Just because you get like 8 additional ultras alongside, you know, the 2 that you would typically get. And I think the Narikiri sets sell for not as much more than just the base individual set. So like I do for this year, actually for Blazar's toy line, I actually do recommend for you to get the Narikiri set, because for the most part, typically I don't recommend you to get those. Obviously, unless there's actually incentive or if they actually did something different. But obviously, because of the nature of how I cover these, I obviously go by the individual releases and such. So yeah, I apologize that there's a huge gap between set 1 and set 2 because of all the other stuff that got released in between. But that had to do with this review. This is Ryder, and I'll leave people. Bye.